close. He lays out and makes the catch.
And we're back for another episode of the Double Switch Podcast. Red October, favorite time of the year. You might notice it's a little darker in here. That's because it's getting dark out earlier. You can feel the air. It's cooler. That means it's playoff baseball time. And it's personally my favorite month for sports. This is just amazing every year. And it's even better when the Phillies are in it, which they are. So it's a good month. How are you doing, Johnny?
I'm doing great. It's my favorite time of the year. There's nothing better than October, at least the new age of October. The past 10 years of Phillies baseball October weren't quite the same, but I'm ready to wear this shirt all month.
Yeah, I'm rocking the red polos to work, just like Tiger Woods at the Masters, repping red for the Phils, kind of spreading my fandom throughout everybody I come across. And, wild card starts tomorrow, and we're coming across a familiar foe here. Johnny, have you ever seen the Marlins play? I know that's a weird team, and, we don't really face them too much. So have you ever seen them before?
Oh, cut this stuff, man. I, for one, am not that
Marlins
excited,
again.
I don't want to play the Marlins. I don't want to play them, really. It's just not a good matchup.
It's just going to be like another game in, like, mid-May. Another interleague game, or not interleague, interdivision game. It's just gonna be a normal day, right?
We don't win a lot of those normal days against the Marlins.
That's true. Marlins close it out, and they take the second wild card. I'm not quite sure how, because they didn't play a game on Saturday, and they finished with one less game played. I don't understand why they didn't have to play that. I guess maybe they had the tiebreaker over the D-backs, and it wouldn't have mattered. I think probably, if I had to guess, I guess you don't know.
Yes.
Said something.
No, they did have the tiebreaker of the D-backs.
Okay, so they take the second wild card, and we don't get to face the D-backs, which I think we were kind of hoping to face them, all things considered. We didn't. It kind of became clear that the Cubs were not going to make it, but as things usually work out, none of that happened, and we get the Marlins, who are a very interesting team, to say the least. I believe they took the season series against us, which not super surprising if you're a Phils fan. I mean, it feels like they always kind of do that. But it's a whole different atmosphere now, obviously, with the playoffs. This is a young team that they haven't been to the playoffs since 2020, which was like the shortened season, and that was weird. Before that, I think it was like 10 plus years or something insane. It's not a very experienced group, which is obviously something that, as we'll get into, we'll talk about. That plays into the Phils' hands a little bit. Phils obviously are experienced, which gives us a little advantage there. But gut reaction, Johnny. How do you feel about this matchup? And how do you like our chances?
I'm not comfortable, which I think here is a good thing. I think the Phillies know that the Marlins are a team. Rob Thompson mentioned they did take the season series. It's not like this team is bad. They're going to have to be ready. But at the end of the day, with all my worries considered, I still feel good about our squad.
Okay. Wasn't the typical upbeat that I was expecting from you, but
No.
You were very candid there, and it's true that the Marlins are a team that we've had issues against. There's just so many examples of us not winning games that we should win against the Marlins, and it's in the back of every like diehard Phils fan's head. But that's okay. I still think we line up well, and all things considered, I mean, you look at what this team could have been right now, and I guess this is a good way to transition into kind of who the Marlins are, even though most people already know them. They kind of win games with their pitching. And, I mean, if you look at the pitching staff right now, we know that they're going to throw out Jesus Luzardo game 1. Braxton Garrett's going to be game 2. And just those two pitchers this season, we went 0-4 against those two pitchers. With our team – go ahead.
If you look at the numbers, the game, there's those 2 games Braxton and Garrett pitched. We should have won.
Did they get the wins or did we just lose the game? You know what I mean? Like,
No,
did
they
they?
got he
They got the
got they got the
wins.
wins. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I saw that we were 0-4, and I saw that we had a 704 OPS against those two, which isn't great. But I don't think that they're the type of pitchers that are going to. I got to be careful. You got to be careful what you say in an episode like this because it might come back to haunt you. I
Uh-huh.
think those are those are pitchers that we can kind of like grind out at bats against. Specifically, Luzardo, I feel like we can kind of force him into the zone a little bit. Braxton Garrett actually kind of scares me a little bit. I don't know why. I just feel like it's something about the soft toss and lefties that I don't like. I know we talked about it earlier with Merrill Kelly and Justin Steele. Merrill Kelly's a righty, but it's the soft tossing pitchers. They mess up something in the psyche of like hitters, and I'm not thrilled about the Braxton Garrett matchup. I think he's a little underrated of a pitcher, but yeah, Luzardo in game 1, I think we can kind of grind him out, and then Edward Cabrera, who's really an interesting pitcher, always
Mhm.
has been because he can absolutely go out there and shove for 7 innings and shut us down. Like, it's completely
Yeah.
possible. Like, that's an outcome, but it's also possible that we take pitches like we can do. And this is a lineup that grinds out at bats. You have guys that take walks, Schwarber, Bryce Harper, just going up and down the lineup. You have guys that can kind of stretch out at bats, and Edward Cabrera is not going to like that because he already has enough issues throwing strikes. So that's going to be really interesting in game 3 if it gets to that point. But I mean, just think about what this pitching staff could have been. No Sandy Alcantara, who would have gotten game 1, which would have scared me because I don't think I've seen Sandy Alcantara in the playoffs like this. And he seems like a guy who can grind it out and win you
Yeah.
a ball game.
Yes, he
And
does.
then, yeah, we would have gotten Luzardo game 2, and then we would have gotten Yuri Perez game 3, who's filthy. Yuri Perez is filthy, and I just feel so much better now thinking about what we avoided, all things considered.
No, I think that was really well said. I think you're absolutely right. It could have been a lot worse. I mean, you even think if Sixto Sanchez had a healthy season, that could have been like a Sixto Sanchez revenge opportunity. But
Could you imagine?
Josh, I mean, the elephant in the room. These pitchers are young. Citizens Bank Park is loud.
All right, is this a question? Is this like a
Well, it's a
open-ended-
factor to consider.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you there. It's tough to it's just tough to quantify that, because you don't know till you know. You don't know what these kids are made of. But if it was like, it's just I'm looking at the pitchers now, and like if it was Sandy going out there in game 1, I feel like I don't feel good about that. Like, but these pitchers, they have yet to do anything in their young careers to suggest that they're going to be the dudes in these games, and they can absolutely go out there and do it. But I think, yeah, I'm kind of with you in that it's going to be tough for them to succeed. They're not in a really good position to succeed this week at Citizens Bank Park.
I would agree.
Johnny, so we know their pitchers, their starting pitchers are going to throw at us. Who has the advantage in the starting rotation, us or them?
I still think us. Hear me out. I went and looked at some of their starts against us. These two, Luzardo and Garrett. Garrett in specific, he doesn't have length in his game. He's never gone past 5 innings against the Phillies, and I think it was 8 starts. And to me, I don't want to give away their disadvantage, but the bullpen is not the best. And if the formula for success against these guys is to draw walks, make them throw pitches, get into their bullpen, which has been sketchy all year.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what K. Long's telling the hitters, and I'm sure that's kind of what they're game planning. Yeah, no, to get them out of the game early, get to the bullpen as early as possible. In that bullpen, there's, the only guy who kind of scares me is Tanner Scott from the left side. I watched him pitch a couple times this year, and I just think that he'll be an advantage, especially when you see Bryce Harper in late in games, that's what their plan is there. That's who they're going to go to. Other than that, I mean, you have Dylan Floro, you have David Robertson. David Robertson's been just awful since he's gotten there. I don't think he ever wanted to be there, which is funny because like he's in a better spot now. The Marlins are in the playoffs. But yeah, you know what you're getting with David Robertson because you've seen a ton of him. He was on the team, and a lot of the guys in the bullpen. It's such a weird matchup to kind of compare because you know what you're going to get. Like what you see is what you get, and we've played this team a ton, and it's going to come down to us executing in the areas that we decide are super important. Getting to those young starters and getting to that bullpen is definitely going to be one of the main keys, though.
Absolutely. How do you think our bullpens match up?
I think we have the best bullpen in the playoffs.
Really?
Yeah. I think I've thought about it a little bit, and whether this is the best bullpen over a full season, that's up for debate because we have some really streaky guys. But it's a bullpen that in the playoffs, we've mentioned this so many times where you just kind of got to ride the hot hand and in like stuff and talent plays in the playoffs. And we've got enough arms down there that if we can shorten games, like there's going to be some formula there that could work. It's not like last year where if Jose Alvarado didn't have it, there was nobody else, like we had to live and die with pretty much Sir Anthony and Alvarado versus this year. I mean, you have 6 or 7 guys, depending on how we fill out the rotation, who have stuff that can get anybody out. You have righties. If you have big righties coming up, I mean, I don't know who's the Marlins' big righty. Soler. If Soler comes up, you have Jeff Hoffman to neutralize him. If you have Arise coming up, you have Gregory Soto from the left side. And then, I mean, even later in the games, you still have Kimbrel left. You still have Alvarado left. You still have Kirkran left. And then you have Sir Anthony Dominguez, who, I mean, would he be the best pitcher in the Marlins bullpen? He's the guy that we might trust least right now, and he might be the best. Like he would be the best reliever. At least he would have the best stuff in that bullpen. That's how deep our bullpen is, and it's just Dombrowski looked at what happened last year, and he didn't want it to happen again, and we're in such a better position this year for it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up actually, because it does feel like we are that type of team where like with the amount of weapons we have like on this roster, I know me and you harped on it. Like we just did not have the depth the Astros did last playoffs. I mean, they could throw out guys with stuff left and right. And like, I know we'd be texting each other like, Jesus, like this is getting out of hand. Like, I mean, Rafael Montero, like Brian Abreu, they were just locking us down on that front. And I think we have that edge in the National League. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, no, it's really going to play up in this short series because if you have Wheeler go out and give you 7 innings and then, I mean, Nola gives you 5 or 6, that list of guys you actually have to use, it gets really small. So you only have to use your trustworthy guys, Alvarado, Kimbrel, and your confidence just goes up. And yeah, it's such an advantage, and it's a really well-designed bullpen for the task at hand.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the offense. And I'd be a liar if I didn't say my biggest concern was these 2 lefties against our lineup our power is produced primarily by our lefties.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned Tanner Scott, a very good lefty specialist out of the bullpen.
Yeah,
They have the opportunity if they use Tanner Scott back-to-back nights to take out their starter and then at the top of the order get Schwarber and Harper with a reliever.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I don't love it having the lefties having to deal with like some filthy lefties that they have. It's going to be tough on Schwarber and Harper, and it's not great knowing that we have righties that have big swing and miss stuff because you think of like a pitcher who could carve up our lineup. It's like a lefty with filthy stuff because he can neutralize Schwarber, Harper, and then you get Trey and JT and Castellanos just swinging and missing at everything. And like, what lefty has better stuff right now than Jesus Luzardo, and especially starters? It's not great.
No one.
Yeah, it's not great. And that's the main argument against us in this series, I think, is the lefty thing. But I trust our righties. It's not, it's not super easy for me to do that because I've seen them swing and miss a lot. But Castellanos, Bohm, Trey Turner, I expect a lot from them this series. And, I'm worried about it, but I'm not worried about it enough to kind of damper my mood in terms of what I think the outcome's going to be for the series. Anything else, host?
I thought you were asking me a question.
I think we've switched the roles here, and you're the host. No, it's at the same time, you kind of look at their lineup and you look at the guys we're throwing at them, and it's the same story. I mean, we have so many arms that can neutralize all of their hitters that in the playoffs, this is what you get. You get really good hitters against really good pitchers, and whatever team's better designed, whatever team has more guts and more talent usually prevails. And that's kind of what we're going to have to do here. We're just going to have to trust the guys, trust the experience, and kind of leverage the strengths that we do have. And going over to the Marlins offense, I think their plan is going to be kind of just to outpitch us. Going up and down their offense, they didn't win games by hitting. That wasn't the blueprint for them. And they know that we have the clear advantage with the offense, and they're just going to try to sneak one out. That's all they can do, really.
That's going to be their model. It's been their model kind of all year. I mean, they've scored the least amount of runs in the National League, and here they are. So that is what they do. They squeak out wins, and they don't really blow teams out. It's just not what they do. There is one thing I've been hearing a lot online that I did want to get your opinion on here. With the lefties, people are saying Weston Wilson might catch a start tomorrow. Would you agree with that, or you think that's a little premature?
I don't think it. I think it would Pache and Rojas, right?
I've seen people projected to be Rojas and Wilson. Wilson and left.
Sure why they would go Wilson over Pache. Pache's a better defender, and would you really want to throw Weston Wilson into the first playoff game after? I mean, he probably should have been on the team earlier, but we just called him up, and I don't even know. Did he get an at bat when he got called up on Sunday?
No.
Yeah, so I don't think they should do that. I think Pache's the dude. He hasn't been hitting super good, but I just think he's the dude for that spot.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, but the way Wilson does swing the bat is kind of appealing to me. The way he kind of sprays the ball, and I haven't seen a ton from Pache as of late. For me, that's a coin flip. It's not that's not an easy decision in my eyes. So I'm very curious to see how Rob handles that.
We'll get back to the Marlins offense in a sec because this kind of has me thinking. I think they're going to carry an extra arm for this playoff series, right? And then This bench, you have 5 bench spots. Let's count them. Stubbsy, Sosa, Rojas.
Yep.
Pache, and then Cave. Where's Weston Wilson fit in this? I guess
it would be Jake Cave's spot.
Yeah, but I guess if you're looking at this team and all the lefties, but there's no lefty pop options off the bench,
Yeah, that's a tough one. Do they? Because in a 3-game series where you are guaranteed to be facing 2 lefty starters, it might be worth it to stack a righty lineup and trust that your team will win the first 2.
It's so confusing because they expanded to 28. The roster did September 1st, and now we have to cut 3 guys from the team pretty much. That's what we have to do, right? Okay, so a bat's got to go. Bullpen arm has to go. Two bullpen arms probably have to go if I'm correct. So you're looking at what? So we already went over the bat. Then Ortiz is probably going to get cut, and then maybe
lowest reliever.
or
Well, they added Nick Nelson to the roster.
Nick Nelson's on the team right now?
Yeah, I think he would be the one that gets discluded, though.
Okay, I was going to say, do you not carry whatever pitcher you don't think you're going to use, whichever starter?
Oh, like a Taiwan.
Yeah, if he's not going to get a start, you're not going to pitch him.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the right thing to do, but I don't see that being. That just doesn't feel like a Phillies move.
Yeah, I should have gotten a count of how many of the roster right now. I'm just so uninformed on that. I was just going to kind of wait and see. But yeah, 3 guys got to go, and I don't even know if Weston Wilson's going to have a spot. So respond back to your Twitter friends and tell them no.
All right, I'll tweet out.
Yeah. So Marlins offense, real quick. What scares you about this offense? Does anything scare you about this offense, or do you think our pitchers can just go about their business and it'll be enough?
I do worry. I think this is the type of lineup that can dink and dunk us. And
You're doing a lot of worrying lately. I'm a little concerned about you. You usually don't worry this much.
I know.
I was expecting you to get on here and be like, "Oh, right, October, see you in the World Series." But no, you're being a little concerned, and it's starting to make me a little concerned.
No, I'm not trying to get everyone concerned. That's not. But I do believe the Phillies will win. But there is something about this offense and this pitching that I've seen throughout the past 2 years that they will make it close. Every game will probably be close.
Yeah. So last year we kind of faced like a bunch of teams that could kind of hit their way to victory up until we got to the Astros, who pitched their way to victory.
Yep.
And that's when the momentum stopped. So that is an interesting point there. But that Astros team, I think they were just so much more talented, like pitchers. Than
you can't really we can't compare the Marlins to the Astros because the Marlins bullpen is not even close to the same league.
I think what you're saying here is the blueprint of kind of what the Marlins did is kind of the blueprint of a team that could beat the Phillies. Doesn't mean that
Correct.
That's how it's going to work out. But if you you go out and get some guys who can straight up pitch and kind of keep low scoring games, then you can just let your offense grind it out. That's a team that would present some issues for us. And we've seen it before. Like, if we run into good pitchers, we can't be stopped. But I don't know if the Marlins pitchers are going to be good enough to do that as currently constructed, and especially knowing that they don't have their big guns. They're kind of working with their 3, 4, and 5 starters, I guess, which is crazy to think about.
It is crazy to think about that they have that sort of depth pitching wise.
Yeah,
but
no,
you said that you definitely hit the nail on the head there. When the Marlins play optimal baseball, they are the type of prototypical team that gives the Phillies a hard time. Do I think that they're going to come into Citizens Bank Park and play optimal baseball? I don't. I think that's going to be a factor for this Marlins team.
I agree. Well said. Last part of this episode, real quick. Actually, 2 more parts. X factor for each team. Who's it going to be? I guess, do you want to do an X factor for the offense and X factor for the pitching staff?
Okay.
Pitching staff should be easy, I guess. Right.
It could be whoever you want.
I think.
I mean, I know who you're going to say, though, so I was going to pick someone different.
Pitching staff is Aaron Nola, right?
Yeah, but I was going to say, I actually think Zach Wheeler, because I think this is a huge game. I think game 1 is going to, whoever wins game 1 will win it.
Yeah, if Zach Wheeler goes out and has a clunker, I'm going to be pretty worried. Worried.
Yeah,
it's going to be. I'm going to be sounding the alarm.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely Zach Wheeler because we have to set the tempo. Any worry, like the worry I feel, if Zach Wheeler goes out there and absolutely dominates tomorrow, out the window. I'll be a cocky fan again. And on the offensive side, it's no question for me after looking at the pitching matchups. Alec Bohm, he's our
Stole
best
mine.
contact. It's just he's going to have to be the guy. He's going to have to spray the ball into gaps. He's going to have to get the RBIs. He plays good fundamental baseball, and we need to show out with fundamental baseball.
Yeah, Bomer's a unique player, and he's frequently an X factor because he's one of the hitters in this lineup who makes consistent contact. Doesn't have a big strikeout gene like some of the other hitters, like Nick Castellanos, for example. And it's huge when you face pitchers with swing and miss stuff. Just to have a guy who can put the ball in play and put the ball in play hard. Like, he hits it hard when he puts it in play. He's going to come up in big spots this series, and he had a pretty good postseason last year. He hit pretty well against everybody we faced, and I expect a big October out of Alec Bohm. It was nice to see him get to the 20 homer mark, which I feel like is a really nice benchmark for him. I feel like it's like a very significant number, the 20 homer mark for him. And it's gonna come down to him quite a bit because they're not going to let Bryce Harper beat him, and I think Alec Bohm's not going to be too far behind him.
Yeah, I think we saw it a lot this year too, though. Alec Bohm just tends to have like that like presence at the plate. Like, you don't pitch the guy in front of me, I am going to make you pay, big time. He's that guy. He's just such a grinder, like in at bats. I just don't see him giving in, and I think he's going to have a really good series.
Yeah, he's funny because people talk about hitters that like the moment's not too big for them. Like, I don't think Alec Bohm ever realizes how big the moment is. Like, I just don't think he knows what's like actually going on because he never changes his approach to anything. And like, he's pretty good. Just like, it doesn't matter. Like, he's the same player no matter what. The moment's not too big for him because I think it's just another moment to him. I don't know if it's intentional or if it's part of his psyche, but with the runners in scoring position this year, and he came up so many times in big spots, there's something about his persona and the way he goes about his game that translates well to moments like that. And it's built for October.
It sure is. And I'd like to say Zach Wheeler's kind of that same type of guy as my X factor. I think he's also that guy. I just think he takes so much pride. I mean, even hearing him speak with the media, the guy's just got a lot of pride in his craft. He's not a very chatty guy. You don't hear a lot of media stuff with him in general, but he goes out there and he just wants to win. That's it.
Yeah, I feel like I just have never heard like an interview with him. Has he like ever talked to like after the game on NBC Sports?
He mumbles under his voice for like 15 seconds, and that's like it. Not a media guy.
No, not a media guy. Those two are good. I'm not going to do Aaron Nola because it's too obvious. I'm going to go. Pitcher is going to be Gregory Soto.
Ooh, I like that.
And hitter, you stole my hitter, which was kind of messed up, not going to lie. Hitter, I'm going to go Trey Turner. I went with Soto because in this lineup, we have Jazz Chisholm is probably the best player, I think. And if it's not Jazz Chisholm, it's Luis Ariz.
Yeah, I'd probably switch the two, but personal opinion.
Pretty good left-handed hitters. And I think Alvarado is going to get the 8th or the 9th for the most part. And I think there's going to be a situation here where Soto comes in the 6th inning and gets a big out for us against those big guns that they have. And hopefully kind of redeem himself because I don't know if you've had a chance to look at his season, but it was not as good as I would have hoped out of someone who throws 100 from the left side. High 4s ERA, not barely over strikeout per 9. Not super great. But besides the point, I think that he's very useful in a series like this. And then Trey Turner, pretty obvious. He's going to be clumped in between the lefties. He's going to get pitches to hit, and it's going to be important for him to be good this series and get on base and kind of continue what he's done since the ovation. He's a righty, so he's just even more important in a series like this, being between those lefties. Trey Turner has a chance to really put an exclamation point on this just redemption tour that he's been going through, and I'm expecting a lot from him.
I am too. Hopefully not. Trying to keep my expectations a little wavered, but
man, get pumped, Johnny. This is what we're here for.
I know. I'll be pumped in the morning. It's just it's for me. I'm at like the point where I was so hyped up all weekend. I'm like, oh, Red October, like it's back, and now I'm like, this isn't the matchup I wanted, but we'll get through it.
We're still here. I would love to be going to the game, but I don't know if they even sold tickets. I don't think they did. Did you hear anything about a pre-sale for the wild card games? I don't think I was part of that.
No, but I got tickets to game two.
Where's my invite?
I actually might need someone to. I was gonna do it off chat, but it's go.
No, that would be sick. I don't have tickets. What is the wild card game Wednesday?
Yeah,
I think I can go. I'll let you know. I'm definitely gonna watch, but I think I can go. So I'll get back to you on that. And final predictions.
Final predictions: Phillies in 2.
2. Phillies in 3. Something goes wrong in one of the first 2 games, but it doesn't end up mattering because Rangers starts game 3, and in Ranger Suarez we trust.
Yeah. And my other key to that prediction, I think the one thing that has to go right for us to win in game 2 is we have to get into the Marlins bullpen early tomorrow. And then we're going to mess up their whole situation for the rest of the series.
So what you're saying is the more we face David Robertson, the better.
Yes, sir. You know what's funny? He didn't sprain his ankle this year celebrating.
So the official double switch stance is get to David Robertson as soon as possible and bring on the Braves.
Bring on the Braves.
Alrighty, that'll do it for our Phillies Marlins preview. We will be back. Okay, so let me think about this. So we got to record Friday if they make it. Yeah, we got to record Friday. If they win, we'll record Friday. If they lose, we're going to cry and get back to you as soon as possible. But either way, we'll be watching the Phils this week. Though. We'll be watching the Phils. We have trust in our guys, and they're built for this. So, as always, thank you guys for listening, and we will talk to you soon.
Go Phils.